Ja, Adriana Díaz Triana arbeitet bei der ECODESIGN Company und ist dort zuständig für Strategieentwicklung, für Produkterneuerungen, ökologisches Produktdesign, durch Ökobilanzierung und Carbon Footprint, also das Thema CO2-Fußabdruck. Sie ist zertifizierte Umweltmanagementbeauftragte, interne Auditorin und Energieeffizienzbeauftragte. Bitte schön.
Hello everyone. Thank you for the opportunity that I can present in English, and maybe this makes you a bit more aware of my presentation today. I will speak about the Electronic Networks and Devices Annex, EDNA. And this nice graphic that I have here for you is showing very different data situations that we had when we were discussing this new work line in our annex, which is the projected energy consumption of data centers between 2010 and 2030. And you see all kinds of curves in there. First you see the pink area, the solid area. This was a study done in 2015. And then you see successively how the lines are slowing down in terms of energy consumption until you get to the blue line. And you might wonder, if you are a policymaker, what shall I do with all this information? Who shall I believe? The first study was 2015, then you have 2017. Maybe I go back to the slides if I can. Yeah. Thank you. So the situation is that if you're following the topic of energy consumption of data centers because you need to regulate it or because you need to introduce new measures, you have to project on the long perspective, say 2030 and beyond. And you have to trust some kind of scenarios and data. I think many of the discussions today were around scenario and models. So we see the need to understand better the situation with data centers globally. We know approximately that the energy consumption of data centers at the moment represents about 1% of the global energy demand. But we don't know how these curves are going to develop into the future. And in our EDNA Annex, we want to develop the data to be able to provide policymakers insights in what area do they have to regulate these products. Do they have to regulate the data center as a building? Do they have to regulate the servers? Do they have to regulate the network? All of them together, and how shall we do that? So our work is going to strongly focus on collecting the data on the data centers from our member countries. We have 14 participants in EDNA, and we need to understand what types of data centers they have and how these data centers perform. Then we need to develop the metrics not only for the building, heating, cooling, ventilation of data centers, but also for the IT infrastructure inside the data centers. Then we need to update these projections that I showed you, which stop until around 2025, and do projections until 2050 if possible. And the last point is that we need to provide recommendations to policymakers where shall they start regulating these products. Is it going to be hard energy performance standards? Is it going to be only voluntary codes of conduct like we have in Europe at the moment? Is it going to be more information required from the manufacturers? Is it going to be more transparency from the operators of the data centers who need to provide data on consumption to the cities, to the planners of energy systems, or where shall they start? And this is the topic that we have in EDNA for the next, hopefully, 5 years. Thank you very much.